Hello and welcome back to another episode. Today's video might trigger about 50% of my audience, and the other 50% they'll understand. What I have before you are some Master of the Universe Revelations figures, and a couple of them are unboxed. Yes, I've taken them out of their plastic prisons. That's just the type of collector that I am. I like being able to put the figures on a shelf in a way that just kind of tells a story or has a scene to it, has a feel to it. I do have a lot of stuff still mint in box or mint on card, but the majority of that will be vintage. So I've got a different mindset when it comes to modern versus vintage items. Vintage items, I will, if I find them sealed, I'm going to keep them sealed. Vintage for me is anything that kind of predates the 1996 era. Anything after that's fair game. The newer stuff, the articulation is there. It screams, open me, pose me, put me in a cool pose where I'm punching, or I'm flying, or I'm shooting a laser beam, or I'm kicking, or I'm jumping. Maybe you recreate a scene from the cartoon or the movie or the TV show or the comic that the toy line represents. Something other than the humdrum 30 figures shoved on a shelf where they just stand there motionless, lifeless. You know, and I get it, not all figures are meant for that. Your older school figures, like the original Masters of the Universe, they had, 5 points of articulation, 6 at most. There's not a whole lot to work with there. I mean, I've seen some creative stuff out there, so it's not impossible. But for your average display, probably not the most prominent figures to use. That's why with these figures, with the Master Universe Revelations, with the Star Wars Black Series, with the Marvel Legends, you've got multiple points of articulation. You've got the posability. Why not use it? I mean, I understand keeping things on card or in box for it to retain value, or buying multiples where you keep one closed and sealed and you keep the other one open where you can, put it out on a shelf. But for me, and again, let me just preface this by saying I know everybody collects differently, and I'm just speaking from my personal perspective. I am an opener. If it's modern, I want to pose it. I want to tell a scene. I want to get into doing dioramas. And that's actually kind of what this video is about, what it's going to be talking about. And it's going to segue into my next video, which is going to be, guess what? Dioramas. But real quick before we get started, I do want to showcase this little Star Wars diorama that I set up years back that tells pretty much the story of Darth Vader. Something that I thought was cool. I just took items that I already had and put something together. Wasn't anything that I actually crafted, painted, or anything like that. And we'll talk about that for a brief minute, and then we'll move forward. I do want to showcase something that I did years back. And this was, I guess you could say, my first kind of attempt at some sort of diorama. I didn't make or craft any of these parts. I just took the bottom of an acrylic display that was all scratched up and took parts of an old arena set from, what was it? Revenge of the Sith? I can't remember. And then I took the figures of Anakin and Darth Vader and kind of did a story of Darth Vader, starting on the far left with little Anakin and Watto and behind him. And then he progresses to what I call teenage Anakin, Padawan Anakin, and then he goes to what I call emo Anakin, right there in the middle, and then what I call high ground, or doesn't have the high ground Anakin, who is missing his left arm, already has his robotic right arm, and pretty burned up body. Followed by full-blown Darth Vader, force choking, and then I went to see with my own eyes Vader, who is resentful and remorseful. Not so much resentful, but remorseful, and basically thanking Luke for saving him. So when I'm talking about opening stuff, opening figures, this is kind of what I would love to do with them all if I could. Now, I know a lot of figures, they can't be displayed certain ways, but I would rather my shelves have figures that tell stories, that have something behind them, or themed, preferably in a way that, I don't know, just sparks imagination and joy. Not to just have rows and rows and rows, or, a shelf full of 100 different figures that you squeezed out every centimeter on that shelf, but to have something that tells a story, something that makes you feel something that when you look at it, you're like, wow.
I'm a pilot, and someday I'm gonna fly away from this place.
Love won't save you, Batman. Only my new powers can do that.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
So what you see before you are several figures. A few of them have already been opened. I've already unboxed them when I got them. It was, weeks ago. I think this guy got probably 2 months ago. So I wanted to go ahead and get them open. This guy, and to check the quality. I'm new to the articulated Master of the Universe. I completely missed out on Master of the Universe Classics because those started before I really got into collecting. And I was collecting about when that line was really finishing up. I do have 1 or 2 pieces from that. I've got the autograph by Alan Oppenheimer Skeletor, and then I've got like the Galactic Skeletor that I think is based off the figure from The New Adventures of He-Man. With that said, I'm going to be unboxing the rest of these right here, right now. We're going to talk about them. We're going to go over them a little bit. And I might throw out some ideas of some dioramas that I might want to build around them. And, help that, and with the NECA TMNT 2-packs that I just got in. Those are going to be my first real attempts at making a diorama. So we're going to brainstorm a little bit and hopefully show some progression later on down the road. So let's get into it. All right, now that all that is out of the way, let's get into our first figure, Scareglow. I was glad that I found this one in the wild at Target. I regretted getting rid of my original Scareglows, but I bought a house and a lot of my collection had to go up on the chopping block to finish covering the rest of the down payment. And unfortunately, my original Scareglows, I had 3 of them, went up on that chopping block. Up next, we have Man-at-Arms. No Master of the Universe collection is complete without having Duncan included in it. After all, he is bound by duty and honor to the royal crown of Eternia. here we have Evil Lyn. This is the evil warrior goddess, the dark sorceress that's always at Skeletor's side. I really like this one because it's got a couple different head swaps. There's lots of different things that you can do with her. And like Man-at-Arms, Evil Lyn is just a must-have for any Master of the Universe collection. And up lastly, we have this Savage He-Man and Orko 2-pack, which just for a little bit more money, you do get 2 figures without paying the price for 2 separate figures. So you get, a lot of bang for your buck. It was a no-brainer to add this to my collection. Especially having Orko again after all these years, that's win-win. You're still here? What are you doing? Like my video, subscribe to my channel, and help this poor toy collector achieve his dream of not being such a poor toy collector. Thanks.